Imagine this: you wake up. No buzzing alarms, no frantic rush to check your phone for missed calls or texts, no plans filling your mind, just pure stillness. The world is quiet, and in that silence there's an odd sensation. It's almost as if the quiet is too loud, as if the absence of noise is screaming at you. And then, like an uninvited guest, doubt creeps in. A pressure rises in your chest. You feel the ache, the emptiness. It's not that you need someone else's company, it's something deeper. You yearn for proof that you matter to someone, that your existence is recognized. In that moment, most men can't stand the silence. And so they run. They grab their phones. They send a text they'll regret. They scroll through endless distractions just to feel a connection, any connection. Society has conditioned us to think that if there's no buzz on our phone, if no one's reaching out to us, something is wrong. The silence becomes a reflection of our perceived inadequacy. Am I behind? Am I unworthy? Am I failing? The absence of noise seems to echo these questions. But what if that silence isn't punishment? What if instead it's a door? A door that most men are too terrified to walk through. The world has taught you to fear solitude, but no one has told you what happens when you actually embrace it. When you stop running from the silence and instead sit with it, face it head on. Here's the truth: the man who willingly chooses solitude, who can walk alone without fear, is not weak. He's not lost. He's dangerous because he is building something profound within himself, something no one can see, something unshakable. This message isn't for every man. It's for the man who is tired of being overlooked, tired of performing for the approval of others, tired of shrinking himself to fit in places he's already outgrown. It's for the man who's done running, done hiding, and ready to rise into the person he's meant to be. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the man who chooses stillness becomes unforgettable. This isn't isolation, it's reclamation. You're not escaping from the world, you're returning to yourself. Too many men bounce from one woman to another, from one job to the next, from one shallow friendship to the next, always seeking validation, like it's the air they breathe. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what happens if I just stop chasing? What happens if I simply sit with myself for once? What happens is transformation. Your mind sharpens, your voice gains weight, your standards rise. And here's the paradox: when you stop seeking approval, that's when others start noticing your worth. Before we go any further, I want you to pause for a moment and write something in the comments. I choose solitude to forge my strength. Not because it sounds profound, but because you're done hiding. Because you're done chasing after validation, and you're ready to start becoming who you're meant to be. This is your moment, your line in the sand. Type it, own it, and let's dive in. Number 1, the fear of silence. You sit in the dark. There's no escape, no alerts, no one asking for your time, just the sound of your breath, and beneath that something heavier, your thoughts. What are you truly running from? What will you find when you stop running? Most men don't fear being alone. It's not the solitude that terrifies them. It's what the solitude exposes. It's not the empty room, but the raw, unfiltered truth that stares back at you. When you're alone, you're not simply faced with silence. You're faced with the things you've avoided, the failures, the abandoned dreams, the promises you made to yourself, and broke without anyone watching. It's not a void, it's a mirror. Silence doesn't scream at you, it doesn't shout its demands, but it speaks. It opens a door to a vault you've kept locked away for years, the memories you buried, the chances you didn't take, the pieces of yourself that stayed hidden. In this quiet, there's no place to run. The distractions vanish. The phone's not buzzing, no notifications are flashing, and the noise of the world becomes a distant hum. All that's left is you, and the truth you've been too afraid to face. And then, as if summoned by the stillness, the ghosts of your past come creeping in. Uninvited, unfiltered, they fill the space. That girl who disappeared. The job you always said you'd apply for but never did. The dreams you abandoned when the world seemed too big to conquer. The promises to yourself whispered in quiet moments that you let slip away when no one else was around. You try to look away to distract yourself, but the silence is relentless. There's no one to talk to, no screen to scroll through, no party to lose yourself in. It's just you and the haunting truth you've avoided for too long. What will you do now? Will you turn and run again, or will you finally face what's been following you in the shadows all these years? That's why so many men keep moving, jumping from one fleeting relationship to the next, from one goal to another, screen to screen. It's not about building anything meaningful. It's about escaping. Escaping from themselves. Escaping from the uncomfortable silence that strips away the layers. And when that silence hits, it's brutal. It's not just a quiet moment, it's an assault on your comfort zone. The chest tightens. The echoes of your insecurities become deafening. You're not enough. You'll always be forgotten. Nothing you do will ever matter. The voices in your head become louder than anything else, drowning out your peace. But here's the catch: if you stay, if you choose to sit with this chaos, something incredible happens. Something shifts. The silence becomes less like a threat and more like a teacher. You start to breathe. In the midst of the tension, in the heart of the storm, you begin to realize that you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still capable. Those thoughts, those voices, they aren't you. They're not your truth. They're just echoes, whispers of the past. They knock on the door of your mind, but you don't have to answer them. This is when clarity begins to emerge. Quietly, gently. It doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic moments. It's a still knowing that rises within you. You are not your past. You are not the mistakes you've made or the woman who left. You're not the man who failed once or twice or 1,000 times. You are the man who stayed, the one who didn't flinch when the storm raged, the one who sat in his own fire, eyes wide open, and refused to look away. That's rare. That's power. That's strength in its most real and purest form. And here's the truth: growth doesn't begin in the gym. It doesn't start in the pages of self-help books or from the latest motivational podcast. It doesn't even begin in the well-edited videos of a guru giving you advice. Growth begins in stillness. In the moment when you choose to face yourself head-on. It starts when you choose your worth over the noise of the world. You sit in the storm. You let it rage. Let it twist and tear through every illusion you've held on to. And you don't try to fill the void. You let the silence exist. You sit with it. And in doing so, you reclaim what most men never get to touch: inner command. From this place of stillness, a new voice rises within you. It's not loud, but it's steady. It's not flawless, but it's real. And when you speak, when you act, it's with weight. Your words carry depth. Your presence carries authority. Your presence feels grounded, not because you've gone out and conquered the world, but because you've finally come home to yourself. You've returned to your true essence, the part of you that's always been there, quietly waiting. And here's the harsh truth most people won't tell you: the world doesn't need more men who are just trying to blend in. It doesn't need men who are too busy trying to please everyone around them, constantly shifting to meet external expectations. The world needs men who have the courage to sit in stillness, to look inward, and find clarity. Because that man, the one who has the strength to stand still, doesn't chase after approval. He doesn't need to constantly prove himself to others. That man is simply present. He's not loud, but his energy speaks volumes. He doesn't beg for attention, for validation, or for recognition. He doesn't need to constantly post, comment, or show off. He just is. His presence alone commands respect because it's rooted in authenticity. His energy doesn't seek permission, it declares itself. It's like a quiet storm, unseen but powerful. The world notices him not because he's trying to be seen, but because he's too busy being himself to care whether anyone sees him at all. Let me tell you something about approval. Most men today are addicted to something they can't even see clearly. It's not alcohol, it's not gambling, and it's not drugs. No, it's something far more dangerous, far more subtle, and even more insidious: approval. Think about it. You check your phone first thing in the morning. But why not? Because you need information, but because you're hoping for validation. You wonder, did she reply? Did anyone like my post? Did anyone see my story? It feels innocent, harmless, like just another part of modern life, right? But here's the thing, it's not. It's the sneaky kind of neediness disguised as connection. It's dependency wrapped in the form of social media, likes, and text message notifications. It seems like something you can just shrug off, but it eats at you slowly and steadily because it doesn't just affect what you do, it rewires who you are. Approval seeking makes you shrink. You begin to say yes when everything inside of you screams no. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny just to fit in. You avoid silence, avoid being alone with your thoughts because it might force you to face uncomfortable truths. You avoid honesty because it could make you stand out, and standing out could mean rejection. You think you're playing it safe, but in reality, you're playing small. You're trading your voice for comfort, your authenticity for applause, and your freedom for a sense of belonging. But here's the catch. This type of life is a trap. Over time, it builds walls around you. You decorate them with compliments, likes, and the fleeting praise of others, but deep down, you know you're stuck. You're not living as the man you were meant to become. You've become the man everyone else wanted you to be, and that's a prison you built for. Here's the unvarnished truth. Approval is like a drug. It feels great for a second, it's a quick high, but it fades just as fast. And just like all addictions, once it fades, you find yourself craving more. More likes, more comments, more validation, more applause. It becomes a cycle that you can't escape because it doesn't fill the void inside of you. It just makes it bigger. At first, the mask feels light. You put it on and go through the motions, but after a while, the weight of it starts to crush you. You've been pretending for so long that you forget what it feels like to simply be, and that mask, it gets heavy. The weight of pretending to be someone else starts to wear you down, and eventually you burn out. Not because you're weak, but because you've been wearing that mask for far too long. But here's where things can change. There's another way. It's not easy, but it's real. It starts with a detox. Not a detox from food or drink, but a detox from seeking approval. A detox from the need to be constantly validated by external sources. You begin by putting the phone down. You stop checking your notifications every 5 minutes. You stop shaping your thoughts and opinions to fit the room you're in. You stop living for the likes and start living for yourself. You stop responding to the needs of others and begin responding to your own inner voice, the voice that's been muffled beneath all the noise. That's when real freedom starts. It's the freedom to stand in your own truth without needing anyone's permission. It's a freedom that once you experience it, you'll never want to go back. You begin asking tougher, more uncomfortable questions. Questions that challenge everything you've been conditioned to believe about yourself. Am I doing this because I genuinely believe in it, or is it because I just want to be liked? Let me tell you, asking that one question changes the whole game. Suddenly you stop chasing after those quick, shallow approvals. You stop apologizing for having standards. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never really listening in the first place. At the start, it feels like withdrawal, like a deep, unsettling silence that fills the space around you. You feel the distance growing, the absence of the crowd's validation. You hear those nagging voices in your head asking, what if they don't like me anymore? It feels like an emptiness you've never known before. But here's the kicker, you sit with it. You breathe through it. You don't rush to fill the void. You let that discomfort sharpen you, cut away at the layers of what isn't truly you. And then slowly but surely, something starts to shift. A new voice rises from within you. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's solid, unwavering. It's your voice. The one that was buried beneath years of performance and pretending. The voice that no longer seeks to be heard for the sake of recognition, but speaks simply because it must speak. And once you hear that voice, everything changes. The shift is subtle at first. You stop texting just to stay relevant. You stop laughing along with the crowd when the joke isn't funny. You stop pretending to be what you're not just to fit in. Instead, you start honoring your time, your truth, your peace. And as you begin to do this, something magical happens. People start noticing. They feel it. They can sense the change in your presence. There's a weight to you, now a stillness in your eyes that wasn't there before. And here's the paradox, you don't need attention. You no longer crave it. You carry it effortlessly. You walk into a room and the room notices. You see, when you stop trying so hard to be seen, you become impossible to ignore. The man who seeks approval blends into the background. But the man who chooses himself, he stands out not by shouting, not by trying to be bigger than life, but by aligning himself with what he believes in. He knows who he is, he knows what he stands for, and most importantly, he knows who he is when no one's watching. That's the power of true authenticity. That's the kind of man people remember, not because he was loud, but because he was unshakable. He didn't need to perform to get noticed. He didn't need to beg for attention. His presence spoke volumes because it was real. So what does that mean for you? It means this embracing the approval detox is messy. It's uncomfortable. It costs you fake friends, the empty smiles and the applause that only came when you performed. But what you gain, it's priceless. What you gain is respect not demanded, but earned. You gain peace not from hiding or shrinking yourself, but from standing firm in who you are. And you gain power not from controlling others, but from the clarity of knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for. So I'm asking you now, are you still living your life to be liked? Are you still molding yourself to make others comfortable? Or are you finally ready to choose yourself? Because once you do, once you really commit to choosing yourself, something profound shifts inside of you. You stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop performing, you simply become. And guess what? The world watches. The world takes notice. And in that stillness, in that quiet power, you begin to lead. Now let me ask you another question. Are you ready to choose solitude too? To sit with yourself long enough to hear that voice? Because clarity, it doesn't come from constant noise. It comes from the stillness. It comes from being comfortable in your own skin, even when no one else is watching. Clarity through solitude. That's where it all begins. The power of solitude. A journey to self-discovery. There comes a pivotal moment in every man's life when the constant noise of the world, the chatter of opinions, and the pressure of expectations begins to fade away. It's as if someone quietly turned down the volume of everything around you. And what's left in that sudden, unforced silence is not emptiness, but stillness, a kind of calm that holds a powerful potential. For the first time in what feels like forever, the fog starts to lift. But not because the world has changed. No, it's because you took a step back. You pulled away from the chaos, disconnected from the ceaseless demands, and in doing so, you gave yourself the space to finally hear the one voice that matters most, your own. In this quiet space, something extraordinary begins to happen. You reconnect with a part of yourself that you had long lost sight of, buried beneath the weight of external influences. The noise that once drowned out your thoughts now quiets down, and suddenly you find clarity not because the world has shifted, but because you found the courage to step away from it. Solitude is not isolation. It is restoration. Think about it when you find yourself constantly reacting, adjusting, conforming to the ever-changing standards of others. You're not living your life. You're living a life shaped by the opinions of the world around you. We've all been there, rushing through the motions, checking to make sure we're doing it right by someone else's rules. But solitude allows you to peel back everything that isn't you. It's the process of shedding all the layers that the world has imposed upon you, and for the first time seeing what's been hidden beneath the noise. It's a paradox, isn't it? In a world that's constantly demanding more of you, you begin to realize that what you've been chasing, a lifestyle, a set of goals, a definition of success, was never truly yours. It was handed to you by society, by your peers, or even by your own insecurities. And when you stop for a moment, when you allow yourself the space to breathe, you come to a powerful realization: you've been living someone else's dream. You've been striving for a version of success that never felt like home. But here's the thing: when you pull back, when you let the feed go quiet, when the phone stays down, and the weekend isn't filled with obligations, something profound begins to emerge. That's when clarity makes its entrance. It's like a fog clearing after a storm, a fresh wind blowing away the cobwebs in your mind. Suddenly you start asking better questions. Instead of wondering, what do people expect of me? You begin to ask, what do I really want? Instead of seeking approval, you start questioning, what energizes me? What drains me? Who do I truly become when I'm around certain people? And do I like that version of myself? Solitude is where the magic happens. It's in these moments of stillness that you begin to uncover what has been buried for so long. Hidden desires, unmet needs, and truths that have been suffocated by the noise of everyday life. It's uncomfortable at first, yes. You may feel uneasy sitting with these questions, unsure of what the answers might bring. But that's the beauty of solitude. It gives you the time and space to confront these truths without judgment, without the pressure to act, and most importantly, without needing anyone's approval. You sit in that discomfort, you breathe through it, and as you do, something shifts. The mirror you've been looking into starts to clear up, and you begin to see things for what they truly are. You stop pretending that you're fine with situations that don't serve you. You stop tolerating relationships that feel shallow or unfulfilling. You stop lying to yourself just to avoid discomfort. And most importantly, you stop performing for the world. Instead, you start to live aligned with your own values, your own truths, your own path. No, it won't be perfect. You're not suddenly going to have all the answers, and life will still have its challenges. But what you gain through this process of self-discovery is far more valuable than perfection. You gain authenticity. You gain real connections. You gain peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from running away from discomfort, but the peace that comes from standing firm in your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. And that's when you begin to say no without guilt. You create space in your life not because you're distant or detached, but because you've learned to be discerning. You start cutting ties not out of anger, but out of clarity. You begin to remove the distractions, the energy drains, the people and situations that don't align with your true self. This isn't a rejection of the world, it's a reclamation of your own life. And in this space of clarity, you'll find that you don't have to try so hard to be seen. You don't have to perform, you simply are. And that, my friend, is the most powerful thing you can be. So I ask you, have you ever stopped to truly listen to yourself? In the midst of all the noise, have you given yourself the time and space to hear your own voice? Or are you still caught up in the frantic chase for approval, for validation from others? If you're ready, if you're willing to step back and embrace solitude, you might just find the clarity and peace you've been seeking all along. Because the truth is, the world will never stop demanding more of you. But when you choose yourself, when you stand firm in your own truth, you become a force that is impossible to ignore. Solitude isn't just about clearing your mind, it's about sharpening your vision. It's like stepping out of the fog and suddenly seeing everything in crisp, vivid detail. It's when you become intentional with your life, not just drifting through the motions. Imagine waking up in the morning, not out of necessity, not just to survive the day, but with a sense of direction. Your day has purpose. Your routines are no longer mindless actions. They align with your deepest goals, your core values. The people you spend time with, the choices you make, the very environment around you, they all reflect who you truly are, not who you used to pretend to be. And here's where the shift happens. You stop explaining your life to people who will never truly understand it. You no longer feel the need to justify your decisions, to argue for the life you're choosing, or to constantly prove yourself to others. Why? Because you've already proven enough to yourself. Now your life speaks louder than any words could. You become unshakable, and that unshakable peace. It comes from the fact that you are no longer available for drama. You don't entertain the games, the manipulation, or the endless cycle of empty chatter. The world will always have opinions, and people may still misunderstand you, judge you, or even walk away. But in that stillness, you remain centered. Why? Because now you're not living for others. You're living for yourself, aligned with the person you were always meant to become. That's the true gift of solitude. It burns away the distractions that once cluttered your mind. It burns away the noise, the superficial roles you tried to play, and the parts of you that were never really yours to begin with. What remains is a man who moves through life with clarity, with peace in his chest, and purpose in every step he takes. This is the moment you stop speaking just to impress others. Now your words carry weight, they matter because they are born from your truth. You stop chasing after external validation, and instead you focus on building something meaningful. And here's the greatest realization: you no longer need anyone's approval, because for the first time you understand yourself. So if right now you find yourself in a space of silence, don't panic. That silence isn't a void, it's an invitation. It's your life asking you to slow down, to listen. You don't need more attention, more likes, more comments, more superficial connections. You need more stillness, more moments of solitude, more time spent alone, not running from yourself, but facing the man you've been ignoring for far too long. The man who walks alone isn't broken. He's rebuilding. He's not escaping the world, he's transforming it. He's coming back to himself, returning to his core, refining every part of his being, and burning away everything that never truly belonged to him. It's like a sculptor chiseling away the excess stone to reveal the masterpiece hidden inside. He doesn't move through life like someone waiting for a signal or permission. No, He moves like someone who has already chosen his path, who has already chosen himself. And when you become that man, when you make that choice to stand firm in your own identity, something incredible starts to happen. Life starts to align with you. The people who are meant to be in your world, who truly resonate with your values, they stay. They support you. They walk with you. And the ones who never truly belong, they fade. They drift away like leaves in the wind. Opportunity doesn't have to be chased anymore. It doesn't need to be hunted down. It finds you. It gravitates toward you almost as if it's been waiting for you to become the person who deserves it. But here's the thing. This isn't magic. It's not some fairy tale fantasy. No, this is mastery. It's the result of deep inner work, of choosing yourself over and over again, of refining your character, your purpose, your resolve. It's a quiet strength that doesn't need to shout for attention. It doesn't need to run after fleeting things. It knows that what is meant for it will come in time. So let me ask you, does this silence resonate with something deep within you? That stillness, that feeling like you're on the edge of something profound, something transformative. If it does, then don't just scroll past. Pause for a moment. Drop a comment below. Reflect for a second. What's one distraction you're ready to let go of today? What's the one thing that's been holding you back from fully embracing your true potential? And then hit like, not because it entertained you, but because something inside you awakened. There's something here that clicked, that stirred something deep in your soul. And subscribe to this channel because this journey is just getting started. Here at Stoic Living, we aren't interested in chasing popularity, chasing fleeting attention, or chasing approval. We are building men who lead from within, men who don't need the external world to validate their worth, men who find their strength, their clarity, and their discipline from the quiet, unwavering foundation inside themselves. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop chasing? Are you ready to choose yourself, to return to your center and move through life with purpose, power, and alignment?